Stick It to the Man is a surrealist adventure game with platforming elements. It starts with hard hat tester Ray Dilwood floating helplessly in space, defeatedly recounting the day's events, which start unsurprisingly with a hard hit at the testing grounds. The story travels through a Rube Goldberg narrative as a large chain of unlikely events all pave the way for your character's journey. Oh, and a mysterious pink sticky hand growing out of Ray's head that only he can see allows him to read minds, swing from thumbtacks, and collect objects from people's thoughts. The art style is a world of cutouts. The sets are literally made out of cardboard. This hand-drawn UFO on a string aesthetic has been seen before in the Paper Mario series and others, and while Stick It to the Man doesn't get extra points for being printed on a thicker cardstock, the Burton-esque urban tone, fun, and foreboding frames the mayhem perfectly. It is a little unnerving to see humans merely penned onto middle ground set pieces, but this weirdness is certainly not out of place. The music is a great companion to the more obvious imagery. The title screen track, Just Dropped In by Kenny Rogers in the first edition, preps you for the tongue-in-cheek grit of Ray's world. Once inside, a sauntering muted trombone keeps pace with the first level's hijinks, and the rest of the music varies appropriately over the 4-hour game time. It's jazzy, agreeable, and exactly what the action requires. The large cast is voiced by an ensemble of talented actors playing multiple roles. One actor, Anthony Sardina, voices 19 different characters. At times it did understandably seem to be a matter of find a unique voice first, nail the delivery second.
That was awesome!
Still, the voice acting serves its purpose very adequately, and the impressive variety is exactly what a game that spends so little time lingering on one character actually requires. Humor is at the heart of the game. It's comedy. If you like it, then you like, comment, subscribe. If you don't, you don't. It's very self-referential.
I'll be moving in regular, predictable, circular search patterns.
And in the wake of games like The Stanley Parable, Thomas Was Alone, and even Deadpool, it's hard to get excited about a game that uses this technique as one of its only sources of humor.
I didn't know biology worked this way.
The other source is wackiness. In fact, the real charm and joy of the game is in hopping between and facilitating ridiculous situations. Zany scenarios are doled out as a reward to the player to get them through what might otherwise be considered anemic gameplay. Anemic because Stick It to the Man falls on the side of the adventure game spectrum that's much less about puzzle solving than it is about routinely trying every combination in your arsenal. Now, it isn't a chore to do so due to the fact that you're always carrying only a few items. Did the ball work on the duck? No. Did the wagon work on the duck? No. On to the next interactable object to try it all over again. This simplifies gameplay almost to the point of disappearance, reducing it to walking around and clicking on things. It's fast-paced for an adventure game like this, and the streamlining does help to keep things moving, but the bottom line is, there is little depth. This is too bad because for all their obscurity, the puzzles feel fair and logical. You might be pasting googly eyes on an asylum inmate, but you swear to Helix you had a good reason to do it. If advancing required you to choose from more than a couple of possible actions, there would be a stronger sense of accomplishment. But it's of little consequence whether your fingers or your brain were faster to the draw. Mainly the solutions are there not as passcodes, but as punchlines in a stream of riddles. Stick It to the Man with every challenge asks, aren't I clever? And you know what? It is. Go game. There's a hybrid stealth platforming side of Stick It to the Man that for the most part doesn't justify its own existence. While the simplistic adventuring moves us along from joke to joke, the simplistic platforming merely moves us along from place to place. This is hardly as alluring a concept despite the well-designed and compelling backdrops. Luckily, it's mostly unobtrusive filler since you respawn infinitely and can usually skip completed sections. The platforming isn't without its highlights. Using your sticky hand to swing from tack to tack has a web-swinging flow to it, and some enemy encounters do seem well-designed. These are unfortunately few and far between, and even at their best, lack the tightness and ingenuity of offerings by games actually in the platforming genre.
Next!
The number of times Ray expresses disbelief that he's carrying something in his pocket.
I'm carrying fire in my pocket.
Most video options are not accessible in-game. The mouse pointer stays on screen even when you're playing with a gamepad, and the description of inventory items is interrupted by merely walking.
A cooked zombie.
If you want to incept a seagull's mind with the thought of a gross cake in order to make him throw up a police officer's beloved dead fish, Stick It to the Man is the game for you. If you want to reunite a captive Rudolph the Reindeer with a deranged Santa by stealing a lockpick technique from the disembodied brain of Houdini, then Stick It to the Man is the game for you. If you crave a challenge or just can't take a joke, you may not care to stick around this delightful freak show. 75.
I just realized how well lend a hand worked back there.
is a surrealist adventure game with a realist adventure. 7 around this delightful 75 with platforming elements.